Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the epic, almost 40-year journey of MS Paint. I mean, think about it. Over the decades, this thing transformed from a tiny, kind of clunky 1985 utility right into a beloved cultural icon. It's honestly a fascinating underdog story about a piece of software that just flat out refused to become obsolete. So let's get right into it.
I want you to think back for a quick second. What was the very first software that introduced you to digital art? For millions, heck, probably billions of us, the answer isn't some complex, super expensive editing suite. It's something way simpler. Something that was just there whenever you booted up the family PC, literally waiting for you to click and drag.
Okay, does this look familiar? Seeing this classic Windows 95 interface probably triggers a massive wave of nostalgia. You can almost hear the hum of those heavy CRT monitors in the school computer lab, right? I mean, we all spent hours just filling the screen with the spray can and those bright primary colors. You had your simple toolbox, that classic color palette at the bottom, menus up top, and just a big blank white canvas that practically begged you to start drawing.
But to really understand how we got there, we actually have to rewind all the way back to 1983. Back then, computer interfaces were mostly just boring text, but Microsoft shipped this tiny bitmap tool called Doodle with their early mouse drivers. Then, boom, 1985 hits, and Paint officially debuts with Windows 1.0. Now, it was monochrome and super limited, but it served a massive, totally unsung purpose. It literally taught everyday people how to use a computer mouse for the very first time. By the 1990s with Windows 3.0, it evolved into Paintbrush, added color, and became an absolute staple in schools everywhere. Just look at the sheer visual contrast here. You've got that early, super basic gray interface from its origins with the tiny drawing area compared to the vibrant, instantly recognizable Windows XP version. But here's the kicker. The core DNA remained exactly the same. The tool didn't completely change its fundamental identity, it really just got better at being itself.
Which brings us to the next chapter, the XP Golden Age. This was the era where Paint went from being a neat little bonus utility to an absolute, universally beloved necessity. It launched instantly, it was incredibly fast, and it was so simple that a total beginner could master it in minutes. I mean, before modern clipping tools existed, the universal workflow looked exactly like this. Step 1, press print screen on your keyboard. Step 2, open Paint. Step 3, hit paste. Step 4, crop and annotate. That incredibly accessible 4-step process, that made Paint the default screenshot editor for literally millions of Windows users.
And because it was everywhere, Paint accidentally became the fuel for early internet culture. It was the driving engine behind crude digital art, forum signatures, and gaming screenshots. You know those intentionally funny, low-effort edits and early memes? Yeah, they were almost all born right in MS Paint. Entire online pixel art communities formed specifically around the limitations of this software. The crazy thing is, those restrictions actually forced people to be more creative.
All right, moving right along to the Windows 7 era, the ribbon redesign.
So as technology marched on, Microsoft introduced the ribbon interface, borrowing the design directly from Office. This was really the first time they seriously altered the visual formula of Paint, and man, it shook things up. At first, users really did not like this redesign. It felt unfamiliar, and that classic side toolbox we all grew up with was just gone. But, eventually people embraced it. Why? Because tucked underneath that new ribbon were some massive upgrades. 50 undo levels, PNG transparency viewing, and brand new artistic tools like watercolor and oil painting brushes. It basically transformed Paint into a much more capable, lightweight art program.
And then came 2017, the Paint 3D backlash. Just as users were finally getting comfortable, Microsoft made a decision that nearly ended the legacy of our simple hero. They attempted to replace classic Paint with a highly complex successor called Paint 3D. Microsoft's new vision was heavily focused on 3D object creation and mixed reality. They added 3D canvases, community sharing for models, 3D stickers, the whole shebang. It was definitely ambitious, but it fundamentally missed exactly why people loved classic Paint. I mean, let's be real. People didn't want a complex 3D modeling environment just to quickly crop a meme or draw a stick figure.
The massive disconnect becomes super obvious when you actually compare the features. When it comes down to simplicity, Classic Paint is excellent, while Paint 3D is only moderate. For speed, Classic Paint is very fast. 3D is noticeably slower. Sure, Paint 3D had excellent 3D modeling, but Classic Paint's 2D editing was exactly what users actually wanted. Because of this, the popularity of Classic Paint remained extremely high, while Paint 3D got a really mixed reception. The internet was not happy.
When Microsoft even hinted that Classic Paint might disappear, the backlash was immediate and massive. Nostalgia just exploded online. Social media campaigns launched to save MS Paint, and fans passionately defended the software. And guess what? It led to this totally triumphant underdog moment. Microsoft actually reversed course. Classic Paint survived because user demand absolutely forced Microsoft to abandon their plans to retire it. How crazy is that?
Which leads us perfectly into our final chapter, the modern Renaissance.
Not only did Classic Paint survive the chopping block, but as we moved into Windows 11, it was completely vindicated and beautifully modernized. Just look at this redesign. It is absolutely sleek. It features that rounded Windows 11 design, and yes, drumroll please, it finally got a dark mode. Microsoft really managed to thread the needle perfectly here. They kept the simple soul of the application completely intact. You still instantly know how to use it, but they gave it a much cleaner UI, modern toolbars, and improved font pickers. It finally looks like it belongs in the modern era, but without losing an ounce of its classic identity.
And its capabilities, they have grown tremendously. Looking at modern Paint today in 2026, it boasts features that honestly rival professional software. We are talking about multiple image layers, proper transparency support for PNGs, AI-powered background removal for quick object extraction, and even Co-Creator AI, which seamlessly integrates DALL-E technology for image generation right on the canvas. It has successfully evolved into a highly capable modern tool, all while remaining totally free and instantly accessible to everyone.
So to really summarize why this software matters so much, it boils down to this quote. Paint survives because it delivers something many applications do not: simplicity, instant creativity, and accessibility for everyone. It is literally one of the longest-running software applications in computing history for a reason. Its incredible endurance over nearly 40 years is entirely due to its total lack of a learning curve. You open it, and you create. Instantly. No tutorials required.
So, I want to leave you with this final question to reflect on. In an age of incredibly complex AI and highly technical professional editors, is the ultimate creative tool actually just the simplest one? Perhaps true creativity doesn't rely on having the most complex tools in the world, but rather on simple, immediate accessibility that lets your ideas flow completely without friction. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep creating.